forced privatisation of public services has monumentally failed in the United Kingdom. Mr. Baird, why are we blindly following a failed model of privatising public services?
We've seen the impacts of being in a competitive marketplace in the childcare sector as well. What's happened there is large for-profits have come in and the effects have been disastrous. No longer was the discussion around quality and outcomes for the children. It became about access only. And currently, that's where we're at again. We're talking about access, not quality, when outcomes should be the guiding principle.
The British Auditor General recently said that privatising public services has resulted in corporations like Serco fraudulently taking public money. But no one seems surprised, because everyone knows that the main obligation of corporations is to maximise profits for their shareholders. In New South Wales, the people are here today to say that's not okay.
Activists of previous generations fought for the rights, conditions and wages workers in Australia enjoy today. Men and women fought, and they fought very hard, often at great personal cost. We are not, under any circumstances, about to give away the extraordinary achievements of our forefathers.
That the Enabling Act is here to increase choices. We know that that is absolute piffle. Mr. Ajaka has also said the PSA created the word privatisation. Mr. Ajaka, once again, you are wrong.
Our arguments are strongly about the protection of jobs and the protection of services. I mean, they really do go hand in hand. But the Enabling Act doesn't spell out the detail. It just gives the minister powers to transfer people without their consent to a private provider.
In my view, if the NDIS Enabling Act hasn't crossed legal boundaries, it has most certainly crossed moral boundaries, because what they have done in terms of workers' rights, it has stripped them to an extent that I don't think is acceptable to anyone in our society.
The private sector is already lining up to take over the disability sector. Serco, Moran, Bupa are some of the big names waiting in the wings to take over this public service for profit purposes, and this is being done without any debate.
A fair day's work for a fair day's pay, and with those other conditions around it which have been developed over a long period of time. Now all of a sudden to say all those negotiations, all those agreements that have been developed over a century don't count anymore is wrong. We have got no guarantees in the Enabling Act other than the power being with the government to transfer us without consent like commodities at will.
I'm a proud, dedicated and passionate case manager and work in the Newcastle area. I work in the New South Wales NDIS trial site, Ground Zero as it is known. The folding of ADAC teams and the privatisation is not happening in 2018 or 2016 as advised by our Minister John Ajaka. People are losing their positions today, now, as we speak.
There should not be a scramble for profit and a race to the bottom. And as we know, the privatisation of disability services is a gender issue. If this was a male-dominated industry, we'd be offered voluntary redundancies and very handsome incentives.
Home care and disability sectors are largely a female workplace. With this Act and the way that the workers are being treated, there is a devaluation, yet again, of women's work.
I'm a professional who has been trained, educated and developed years of experience working in the disability field. This is not my job, this is my chosen career. Mr Ajaka in the Enabling Act wants me to accept a dumbing down of my profession. He wants me to accept the same amount of work, worse conditions, no training and 25% less pay with a non-government service. The reality is 25% of my pay is my mortgage payment and food in my children's mouths. And I have no doubt that Mr Ajaka would ever consider such an unfair offer. And shame on us if we accept such unfairness.
We deserve to know what are the guarantees around this proposed transfer. Staff are being denied the detail, and the devil is in the detail. Let's see what the detail is so we can make an informed decision. If we don't, people are starting to opt out of disability work even though they have done it for their working lives and they saw themselves doing it for the rest of their lives.
Mr Ajaka can no longer deny that this is the largest privatisation that Australia has ever seen, with job losses of 14,000 public service jobs, an erosion of workers' rights, casualisation and the dumbing down of the professional workforce, and worse still, no chance of a redundancy.
We know the government's announced the wholesale privatisation of disability services by 2018. Over 14,000 jobs, 1,200 of those nurses out of the public service that you have dedicated your lives to.
This enabling legislation was done sneakily and cunningly at 1 o'clock in the morning so that nobody will know about it on the 29th of October 2013.
The Enabling Act certainly has broader industrial implications. If the New South Wales government gets away with it in the disability and home care sectors, it will most certainly be trying to do it in other sectors. We're already seeing it in the hospital system, where there is a push for privatisation. And what it is doing, the government is the driver behind this, is the government's pushing away of responsibility, and with that responsibility comes risk and liability.
We are here today to say a resounding no to the full privatisation of disability services. And present over 25,000 petitions to members of Parliament and say that the Enabling Act is a disgrace and has to go.
In the United Kingdom, public services and their assets were given totally to some not-for-profits under a failed model of privatisation called Big Society. In the last 3 years, under Big Society, many of these not-for-profits have been gobbled up by 4 major corporations. The privatisation of ADIC denies people with disability the right to choose to stay with their current provider if that provider is the New South Wales government. Everyone, irrespective of age, postcode or personal circumstances, should have equal access to public services. This is the hallmark of a developed and civilised society, and this is what makes New South Wales a great place to live. In the coming months, we will have an election in New South Wales, and it's up to the people to say to our politicians that we want ADIC and other public services to stay in public hands, and we say no to privatisation.
Respect, dignity and certainty are basic elements of any workplace. With the Enabling Act, those fundamentals have been stripped away from the workers, and this isn't acceptable.
We're going to stand up, we're going to stand strong, we're going to stand together, we're going to fight and we're going to win!